grace with Reverend Delancey Catlin. Delancey, if you come forward to give our invocation this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Let us pray. Creating and loving God, we come to you in this season of hope, peace, love, and joy. We pray and give thanks for the much needed rain that we received today and for this day. We give you thanks for all elected officials and all those who assist them. Give them discerning minds to make good decisions. Guide and direct us in all that we do. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And at this time, I'm going to call on Mayor Weaver, and I'd like to make important comments, and any of the other council members that are here,
Okay,
please proceed.
okay. First of all, President Barr and members of the county commissioners, thanks for coming down. This means a lot to us. We look in 2024 as a very positive year between the town of Sharpsburg and the county commissioners. I think we've accomplished quite a number of things. I'd like to point out to you, if you kind of look behind Randy, this is a new add to our room. We were flying the county flag. And that all got started because a teacher that I know at Sharpsburg Elementary gave me a call and said, why don't we fly the county flag at Sharpsburg Elementary School? It's a county building. And I said, well, you know, I don't know why. So I bought them a flag and sent it to them. And they now fly it at the elementary school as well. So I think it'd be a good thing for you guys to think about. I think all county buildings should be, you know, represented. We're proud of our county and fly the flag. So you can get out of here. We're aware that there may be some fog tonight, Randy. We were aware of that.
It's fall.
It's fall. It's just fog is one of those things. And we worked the agenda down to just really 2 items. We're mainly going to spend time on water and sewer. And then the other place where we intersect mainly with the county is around planning and zoning, if that's okay. And some of those other items we can handle offline to streamline things a little bit. I've been working on water and sewer forever. Ever since I've been on the county or on the council, I've been trying to maintain the rates, limit the rates, do whatever we can. 4 or 5 years ago, I served on a committee, and the recommendation of the committee was to drill wells, and that was going to alleviate and provide a source of income and a way to offset some of the costs. That didn't work out so well, and it's in limbo right at the moment. The main reason is that I'll just use a little anecdote. I went to a meeting back at the park where we were going to drill the well, and I went to the meeting, and I was one person, and there was 9 people from the state and county there, mainly from the state. And I was standing beside a gentleman, and I don't remember his name, and I wish I got his card. But I asked him, I said, what do you think? I mean, this looked like a good project. You've seen a lot of these. What do you think? And he said to me, well, yeah, I think this will work out. He said, but you better be thinking about building treatment plants for water, groundwater under the influence. And I said to myself, I know what I don't know. And I don't kid anybody. I didn't know what he was talking about. So I left there and started doing some research. Well, what's happening is most wells that now are being dug in Washington County are being considered under the influence. And if you're into this business, you understand how this happened. You have to run these sophisticated tests when it rains and all this kind of thing. Well, net, what that means is that you're going to bore, if it turns out to be water, groundwater under the influence, you're going to have to build a treatment facility, a full-scale treatment facility. They range anywhere right now from $1.5 million to $2 million. So all of a sudden, we were looking at, you know, a cost risk to the project. But we started this project because we have a well back there already. That's only 180 feet deep. It delivers 75,000 gallons a minute. It's more than enough for the town. We had it tested by the Maryland Health Department. They said all we had to do was treat the iron in it and we'd be ready to go. So it was a low level, low cost. Now they're saying, no, you have to do, these sophisticated tests for under the influence on that well as well. So you and us, we're in at about $50,000. And we elected to put it on the back burner and maybe discuss it again in 2025. The staff's opinion, your staff's opinion is, and I don't know if they're going to be here. We talked about it. They believe that we'll have a tough time selling MDE on building another filtration system when we have one along the river already. Just so you understand, it seems a little complicated. I hope I'm not making it too complicated. We now take water out of the Potomac River, which is definitely surface water. It has to be treated as such. If we drill a well, we'll have water that's under the influence of surface water. Doesn't require quite as much treatment, but a lot, $2 million worth. Okay, and so the business cases that I presented to you were very good. You got to pay back on the water system in about 3 years. Of course, now if we have a $2 million investment, it's going to take that out to like 20, 25 years. So it's something, and I don't know, we don't have a capital request in for $2 million or anything of the sort. So right now, the well project is just simply on hold. We were, to speak honestly about it, we were disappointed with the well driller. We thought the well driller would let us know about some of these, two facts that kind of got biased. One is that the water table was going down, okay? And therefore, our plan was to hit water within 300 feet. We didn't. And now they were telling us you may have to go 600, 700, 800 feet. I don't know if you're familiar with Boonesboro or not. They just drilled a very nice well, but it was over 600 feet deep. And it is also under a 600-foot well is under the influence of surface water, which is kind of hard to believe. So at that point, I'll just stop and see if you have any questions on the water as far as the well project is concerned. Anyone?
So basically, the well project is for right now on hold.
I think well, for us, Randy, honestly, the second, we drilled once and didn't hit water.
Right.
And we came back to you and you very graciously joined us in the second effort. But it's $100,000 risk. It's going to cost us $200,000 to go 700, 800 feet. And quite frankly, the town of Sharpsburg can't afford to risk $100,000 right now.
When we re-advertised, we only received one bid, and it was for $208,000 from Negri's.
To go,
Well drilling.
let's start a new well or the existing well go deeper.
Well,
I'm not sure.
this is why we would want to rebid it, is because the original well driller just pulled up and left and concreted in that old well. What we would have rather had them do is leave it so we could start at 300 feet and go down. Now we have to start all over. Right? So when I came back to you all with that last proposal was to start a whole new well.
Gotcha.
So they didn't just put a cover on it, they filled the whole hole
Filled the hole with concrete.
based upon whose instruction?
The combination of mine and the counties, I'll share the blame for it. Derek, what fundamentally happened, and that's why I blacklisted this particular driller for Sharpsburg. So we're in a situation right now where we don't have a driller. But it's Friday afternoon, okay? And my phone's ringing off the hook. And I pick it up like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they want to know, whether I'm willing to invest another $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 to keep on drilling. If not, they want to cap and seal the well. And they asked Mark and his team, Mark Bradshaw, and they asked me, and I said no. And so they were gung-ho to get out of here. They got the money and ran. And so, to be honest with you, Derek, I got taken advantage of a little bit, and I'm not at all happy about it, but, you know, it's one of those quick decisions I thought I had to make, and I made it. So
So so $1.5 to $2 million for water treatment for a well facility,
that's correct.
okay? You still have to drill the well.
So I have to drill a well, which is gonna be about $200,000
Also,
if we hit water.
if you hit water, so let's say worst case, 2.7 to 3 million.
Yeah, worst case,
Worst case.
2.7 million, 2.5 to 2.7, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully you get enough flow.
Hopefully you get enough flow. Now, that's why we're keeping the other well in case we're a little short. And if we can bring the other well on cheaply, then we can combine the two. But if we don't get good flow out of another well, then I'm not sure that's a good location for water source.
Is there, I don't know if there's, Mark's not here, but if there's another way that geological assessments can be done they can go deep and look for different types of minerals and oils for geological assessments and
Well, that's kind of why I put it on hold. I think we both, you guys and us, need to take a step back.
We will bring,
And see what our next steps are.
even though Mark couldn't make it today, we do have Joe Moss here from Water Quality, he's a deputy. He might be able to answer some of those questions.
And then the other question is, does MDE have grants for wells?
I'm sorry.
Does MDE have grants available or the federal government grants available for wells and water treatment?
The process with MDE though is based on necessity and points. So if we were to put in basically for the drilling of the well, it's going to be based on the need for water quality. And right now, I don't know how Sharpsburg would rank on the need because we already have water. So basically, the need for Sharpsburg right now is to lower the rates, not as much as water quality. So we would not rank very high. And we
But they're
would be on
still saying you
an
need to address the water quality.
when MDE ranks your financing is based particularly on water quality needs. And so right now we are not looking at water quality.
But you're under the influence.
Once, well,
Now you're not under the influence like drinking. I'm just saying.
right. So if we go into to
Clarify that, please.
this project as a whole, I don't think that Sharpsburg's project would rank very high because we currently have water. The whole scenario is basically to lower the rates.
But
That's
I'm
the
saying
primary.
the water you have is under the influence is requiring treatment from what Russ said.
Correct. If it's determined that it's under the influence.
Basically, anytime that you drill a well for a municipality or a city, MBE is going to step in and require some type of a filtration
Yeah.
system.
Now, this filtration system is not as sophisticated as the one we have now. You still have a pretty good business case because these new filtration systems like Keysville and Boonesboro are built, they can man those with one full-time equivalent. And if you remember, our business case was built on getting this down to one full-time equivalent. So we still have the savings. It's a lot more cost.
So what's the 208,000 do? It's to drill another well, right?
Up to 800 feet.
Up to 800 feet. So what is just give me two options, your wish list. What would be your two options for water?
Two options.
Yeah.
The only option I really see, Randy, outside of treating surface water and doing something about the rates is drilling a well. I think drilling a well is the only other option. And that is an ideal option for the town because it generates a revenue stream that we were going to apply to the rates.
So if the first well, Warren, how much did that cost? The first well, how much did you lose on that?
Roughly 50,000.
50,000. So for 208, it's a risk, but that would cure the problems if you hit water and had a proper flow. Correct? Or am I?
That would take you to the step of saying somebody needs to build a filtration system.
Gotcha. Well, that's what you were doing on the first well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But, so everybody's clear. The original investigation into this came about, I'll give it to you exactly how it happened. I told the county, we have a well that we drilled in town, and it's a good well.
Mhm.
Mark and his team came down and did a flow test on it, and it was 75, well, they verified that it was 75,000 gallons a minute.
Right.
Because the well driller said, here's what you can get out of this well. Now, it was not stress tested, okay? We had Maryland Department of Health come down and test the water, which came back that the only thing that they found in the water was iron. And so we believed that we could drill a well in a 300-foot range with a very minimal filtration system and dump it in with the water coming out of the Potomac for a while and then switch over. And that was the original plan.
Mayor Weaver, best case scenario, if a well could be drilled and, because that water is, we're saying is cheaper to filtrate and clean than surface water directly from the Potomac, what kind of a savings, like, have you been able to quantify what kind of a savings that is, either for a user or per gallon or whatever kind of metric you can base that to? What kind of savings are we looking at?
Fundamentally, it pays 1/4 of a user's base rate, okay? So it's like $250 for a quarter, which is about what one person pays for a quarter. I think it's 254, 253, something like that. So it's a 25% savings.
Could ARPA funds be directed to this?
Well, I mean, we just reallocated the remaining of the ARPA funds.
We're still having a briefing on that. Just wondering.
Well, definitely ARPA funds are eligible to be used for water and sewer infrastructure projects, for sure.
Could be a higher need, so something to think about.
I think the crux of our discussion today was allocating that for a project in South County.
Yeah.
And that's being a project in Union County.
Something to think about. Randy?
Okay, you have enough information, or
You got it, Russ.
sorry,
We understand it now.
you understand it now? I've been meaning to come in, and I thought I'd wait for this, so I just got delayed. I do want to say a couple other things about water and sewer before I bring Tim on this. I want to make sure that I convey to you how good your staff is. I know you've heard this from me a lot, but I think his name's Mike Kine, who works down here. But he and the people out of the water and sewer are great. They're Johnny on the spot. They let us know what's going on. They respect the people, where their cars are parked, and they're just a really good staff. So I wanted to give you that feedback. There is one other issue that's just cropped up, and I'm going to get Joe to come in on this. The county just recognized that there are lead connecting pipes to the meters in the water system. And Joe helped me out here if I'm saying this wrong. They're going to be removed and so all going to be repaired. There is a possibility that there is a lead linkage from the meter into the properties, into our properties. I don't know how much. So Joe, I'm going to stop there. Do you know how many in the town of Sharpsburg were in that inventory?
Yeah, out of the 596 services, I believe 311 were categorized as not knowing, because we have no way of knowing because it's buried and from the meter into the house. So we sent them a letter explaining that to those 311. Did you get Davina's email today?
No.
Because she explained it all in the email that, that was a requirement that the state had, that we do the survey, okay, of all the services in the town.
So those 300 houses have lead on the county side.
No, what our program or our project that we just purchased all the fittings and stuff for is to renew from the main to the meter pit. That's all we own. The homeowner owns from the meter pit into the house. we don't have the authority to make them changes.
So you can't see the connections in the meter. You can't see that that's a lead pipe going out of the meter.
In some cases, and if that was the case, then they didn't get a letter saying it was undetermined. 311 of them were classified again as undetermined.
I'm a little confused. Out of those 311, are the property owners responsible for lead pipe removal?
If it is a lead pipe. Okay,
Okay.
you have to read the letter that we sent them.
Okay.
It
Well, this may
explains-
be too early for you guys, but just so it's on the radar, I'm gonna have a hard time accepting the fact that a water system that was put in is gonna leave 60% of my, residents, holding this is a big bill. This is $6,000 to $10,000 because to repair this, you have a connection from the meter inside your house, goes through your wall. And so you're gonna have to dig that pipe out and replumb it, and that's not going to be cheap. So,
And does MDE require it? I guess it's the first question that the owner replace it. And if they're gonna sell the home, would that be something they have to declare?
Well, it's undetermined whether they even know it at this
Right.
point, 311 of them. They don't even know it. They're gonna have to dig to find out.
Right, and the letter provides a link where the homeowner can, if they see it coming in through the wall, it's obviously copper, plastic, something other than lead. Well, that answers the question right
Okay.
there.
That's easy.
And we give them that option.
Yeah.
Because we have to, make an effort to identify what is from the meter pit into the house.
Right.
And that's what we've done, but we can't go on their property. That's private property.
I went into my basement on Saturday and went back into the little cubby hole where it comes in. I think you can see the connecting pipe from the inside of your house. Most plumbers brought it in and there's some kind of a pressure relief valve right there to keep, if you have a surge in pressure, it won't blow out all your washers and everything in your house. So I think people can make that determination. We do have a little scare factor going on though, because I don't use Facebook, don't look at Facebook, don't care about Facebook. But so people relate to me, there's a lot of churn this weekend on people buying lead test kits and things like that. And I just want to get the accurate information out, do we have a problem? Don't we have a problem? Should you be worried about it? Shouldn't you? And what do we do about it?
I am getting some information from Davina. She did indicate that there is still state funding available to help homeowners. I don't know that it would pay for the entire cost, but there is state funding available to help homeowners defer the cost of replacing this.
That's what we want to tap into if that becomes an issue. Okay. All right. That's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is just, it's always the rates. We get I have to say from my own personal perspective, for a long time, I've worked on preservation. I just saw where you guys got like $1.5 million in grants for easements in the rural legacy area. We just had a beautiful farm out here, by the way, 236-acre farm, beautiful farm. Preserved, that's all good. Put smiles on everybody's faces till you open your water bill. Okay, because we are so restricted. Really. I mean, we really take a hit for the fact that the county is preserving all this ground around here. So, really, one quick story to you. A friend of mine over the weekends from the town here, he said, when I moved to town, he said, my wife came and told me, I got Sharpsburg figured out. And he said, you do? What? He says, well, Sharpsburg wants to stay as it is, and it doesn't want to be Gettysburg. And that's been true, and that's been our philosophy. But I have to tell you, just as a long-term resident, it's painful to sit down. You guys issued your rate increases for next year, and I understand them. I go through it completely, but it's painful to be the highest water and sewer in the county. Okay. All right, with that, I will we have a couple of things we want to talk to you about, planning and zoning, unless you have something else on water and sewer. Okay. Yep, you're on.
Okay, Tim Lung, zoning administrator for the town. I'd first off like to thank Jill Baker, who's your planning director. She's been a great asset, you know, and has been very responsive to the town whenever we've had any inquiries about things and so forth. And also your director of permits and inspections, Mr. Greg Coretti. He came down a couple weeks ago, met with some of us to go over the permitting process and the relationship we have with the county permits office for routing permits and so forth. The one thing we did discover is that our MOU with the county was like 3 sentences long, written I think back in the 70s or the 80s, and we would like to at some point revisit that, come up with an updated MOU in regard to the how the county interacts with the town in regard to processing permits and so forth. And of course, as zoning administrator, I have to handle complaints from town of people about folks doing things that they're not supposed to be doing in relation to the zoning ordinance and so forth. And there's one situation that Jill is aware of that I've talked about to her, that several of the town council people have received complaints, is in regard to Green Hill Farm Event Center, and in regard to noise and so forth, and that they are having events there that it's not in compliance with their special exception they received from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and also with their approved site plan. Of course, a lot of the traffic that comes from events that they have comes through Sharpsburg, so we're affected by it, and our town people who live on that side of town are feeling the effects of the noise that's created by these special events they're having out there. The last time I talked to Jill was back last month. She had said that she had issued a zoning violation to them. I don't know if we have any new information on that or not.
Yes, we had a follow-up meeting with Erin Mosier, the owner of Green Hill Farms. And we met with her, and it was the Department of Permits and Inspections, and the Department of Engineering, as well as the Health Department, who came out and we talked about the issues going on out there. Right now, according to the approved site plan that we have on file, that property was limited to 12 events per year. The reason for that limitation has to do with the property not having a septic system large enough to handle the special events. There was a compromise made before my tenure as the director that basically allowed them to use they're not porta potties, they're fancier, they're the trailer bathrooms that you can rent, and they were going to use that as their waste collection. Over the years, that has expanded dramatically. They have events pretty much every weekend from May through October. And we were also pointed out to us that they now have small cabins on the property that they are renting out, which is also not permitted under that zoning district. So at this point, what we have informed the property owner is that to continue using the property in the manner that they wish, they would have to go through a rezoning to get a rural business overlay because of all of the things that are happening on that property. I'm going to caveat that by saying that there is some new legislation that's going to be proposed this coming session by, I believe it's Maryland Department of Agriculture, to look at value-added agriculture also sometimes known as agritourism type things. And specifically looking at requirements for septic systems and when they wouldn't be required. So we're waiting on that. Aaron has been in communication with the value added director. I don't think that's his title, but as part of Kevin Addix, who is the secretary of the Department of Agriculture. They're going to be out here meeting at the farm. Actually, I think they met on Monday. And we're going to discuss how their farm operates and how that might play into the new legislation, and we'll see where that goes. But at the moment, they have a cease and desist order on the cabins. They are not to be using the cabins. One, because the zoning doesn't permit it, pardon me, and two, there were not zoning, there were not building permits obtained for those units. So they are working to correct those issues. I was told by the property owner that they wouldn't be using the cabins over the winter. They kind of go into hibernation through the winter months, don't have nearly as many events, and they don't have stays in the cabins. That's what we were informed. So at this point, again, we're just working with the property owner to bring it up to compliance.
So to ever use the cabins, they'd have to get an overlay.
They need to be built to code. So that
Built to code and an
The
overlay.
first thing they need to do is get building permits, but the problem is they can't get building permits because the use is not permitted.
So they'd have to go zoning first and then do it. Yeah.
Correct.
Jill, do they have easements on that farm?
Yes, they have
Yeah,
a
they have
Maryland
historic-
Environmental Trust easement.
Environmental trust easement? What you just heard there is what keeps me awake. Two things that keeps me awake at night when I think about preserving Southern Washington County. One's rural business districts. I encourage you to go read it. I mean, if you can do it right, and you can get it through, you can actually put a McDonald's in a rural business district. Now, I understand there's a lot of issues to what I just said, around water and sewer and all kinds of other things. The rural business districts are quite wide. And so that would be the number one thing in terms of preservation that would keep me awake at night. That would be the number two thing. Number one thing, solar. I still don't get a good answer for farm has a Maryland Historic Trust or an MET or a rural legacy easement on it. Can the Service Commission in Annapolis say, oh, forget all that. Go ahead and put solar panels on the farm. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know the farmers around here. I know the flux and I know the prices and I know all these people. And they talk to me and I talk to them. There are a lot of solar farm companies sniffing around here right now, around this area. Okay? This ground is prime. If they, can anybody in this room answer me the question? If I have a Maryland Historic Trust or any of those easements that's in our rural legacy area down here, can I still put solar panels on that farm?
I can't speak to the other preservation efforts. I can speak to the rural legacy. And right now those easements say no.
Those easements say no?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
But can they be waived by state?
At some point in time, I'm sure they could.
Right now, you always say the buck stops at the Public Service Commission, but right now, the Public Service Commission, right as the law stands today, couldn't overrule that.
Could not overrule that.
Well, no, I'm asking Jill that.
Oh, you're asking.
So I don't think so. I don't think they can overrule an easement now. It's a recorded document. It's an agreement that was entered into by the property owner. I will give everybody fair warning that there will be legislation without a doubt introduced this year in the legislative session regarding solar out in, across the state, solar across the state. In particular, MACO, Maryland Association of Counties, has been working diligently with a work group to try to find a balance, still giving the local jurisdictions some say in where these things are located, However, there's going to be very aggressive legislation coming that says they want us out of the picture and to be preempted altogether, that we would not have any say in where these things would be
How about
located.
we put them in Annapolis along the Severn River? Maybe one might want to try that.
So, right, like what you brought up about the rural business district, that is concerning because my limited time on the Board of Commissioners here, that, you know, we reviewed a few applications for business district, rural business district, and, you know, the language is pretty wide open, Jill. You know, what can be associated as providing a service to the rural community, food, whatever it is, okay? So I understand the concern, and I would hope that we might be able to look as we go through our process now, think about how you might tighten that up.
I would encourage that to be much in favor of it. I completely believe in rural business districts. I believe farmers need places to take their equipment to have it worked on. I understand all that.
Yeah,
I understand the genesis of what.
But
Rural
it could be a
in it.
McDonald's
It's
or
like
an
everything in it. It gets in there and gets stretched. It is very vague. Yeah, I would encourage you to take a good hard look at it.
The consensus, that's that.
Just to circle back on the Green Hill Farm, matter, I think what the town would like is a place at the table, during any, meetings or discussions, because this business does have a direct influence on the town by traffic and its close proximity. So, that would just be our request, is that the town have a place at the table, if there's meetings or, discussions and so forth. So, and I guess just the last thing, and this relates to the discussion about the rural business, is the comprehensive plan update, that you just released the final draft of the comp plan, and I think it's going to public hearing in January. And I know that the council presented comments during that period of time when you were having the public input meetings and so forth. And the question that has come up from the council in reviewing the final draft is there a summary, was there a summary report done that lists the number of changes that were made to the final draft based on the public input during all those outreach meetings that you had this past year? It would be very difficult to take the first draft that was taken to those public input meetings and then have to try to then read the final draft and try to figure out what the changes would be. I think what we would like to see is a summary report of what changes were made between those two drafts.
Do you have an answer for that, Jill?
We don't have one.
Do you have a record of what you actually put in?
Yes.
Maybe that might suffice.
Joe, during that time frame when we were having our public meetings in the different municipalities and throughout the county, you were giving us updates with what the concerns were of the citizens when they spoke throughout the meetings. Is that something that maybe you could work from and say, okay, this was an issue we addressed, and this was an issue that maybe the planning commission just didn't feel a change was warranted?
Yeah, we'll have to put something together for that.
That's all I have.
Is that it? Okay, with that, we can close the Sharpsburg part. I would just draw to your attention, you have a T-shirt there in front of you.
We
From
thank you
us
for
to you.
that.
It's got our slogan on it. It's Sharpsburg, just what a small town should be. That's what we're trying to be. And I'll just close it out with, I'm going to run, or we're going to run a little social experiment the next 4 years. People ask me why, when I'm almost 80, would you ever run for mayor again? One of the things I want to do is I want to see if government can actually be a generator of social interaction. You're familiar with our parade, you're familiar with our museum. We are forming instead of an economic development committee, a community development group to try to do all we can do with the churches and everybody else to create social interaction. I think it's one thing that's lacking in the country. And I think if municipalities is where it should start. That's where the people are. So we're going to try that. I don't know if you want to try something like that at the county, but we're going to try to really encourage social engagement in Sharpsburg. So
Russ,
that'll end.
that triggers a thought that I have. I know for 30, 35 years, the Sharpsburg Area Council of Churches, and looking at Delancey, I think was had a sunrise Easter service up on the battlefield. And a few years ago, we were, I think, told that that would be their last one. They blamed it on the fact that the visitor center was going to be completely torn down and replaced, renovated, what have you. But it was pretty obvious that they just didn't want a religious service up there on the hill anymore. Matter of fact, that particular year, the second to last year, they wouldn't allow them to set the cross up. So, is there any possibilities that the Sharpsburg Area Council of Churches would try to bring that back and have it somewhere else?
The park.
I'm sorry.
It's still in existence.
So it didn't.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a park.
We did this past Easter. I think
good. Okay, I missed it.
we have it at the park and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
on Palm Sunday. All the churches meet in the square and then proceed to their relative churches. So yeah, I'm all in favor of all that stuff. Crosses, Merry Christmas, all that stuff all over town. That's fine.
President Barr, if I could jump in just real quick, Mr. Long, just the one comment on any discussion of the rural business overlay application for the Green Hill Farm Event Center. The town's opportunity to comment or participate would certainly be at the Planning Commission level once the application is submitted, and then at the public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. So there wouldn't be any sort of a side meeting, excuse me, as far as the rural business application would go. So I wanted to clear that up, that there would be two opportunities, and certainly plenty of time to input and supplement the record.
What
But
about other meetings that, when you have state officials coming down there, where we're meeting with them, because they're a stakeholder.
sure, I guess they could participate
All they're
in
asking
those,
for
but
is to be included.
in regards to the rural business overlay,
I get that, yeah.
I just didn't want the impression to be that the board was meeting to discuss the application outside of the planning commission and the public hearing.
I was speaking more on the staff level. And at this point, it doesn't appear like necessarily the end result is going to be RB overlay unless this business has been essentially shut down until they go through the process of obtaining the RB overlay. Because it sounds like right now, the only thing that's limiting the number of events there is the issue with the septic systems. We don't know if that gets resolved through the health department, if they can continue to have more events. It seems to me that they have exceeded what was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals when they obtained their special exception years ago. And we just want to make sure that if they go down another route other than the RB zoning, which I thoroughly understand goes through the public review process, if they start pursuing other venues outside of RB zoning, we just want to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I think we sort of spoke to that nothing can, because it doesn't conform with the initial plan. It has to conform to that plan with 12 events a year, which was probably on the original site plan. And anything beyond that, or anything with cabins or anything which was originally approved is a violation or a citation or cease and desist. And I think that's the check-in, and it just took someone to come forward. I don't know how it got registered, the complaint. But, and what Zach said is there's gonna be a whole lot of lot of chatter between planning commission, board of zoning appeals and public hearings if they try to do a zoning change. And that's, I'm sure you understand that, Jim. You've done it for years. So I don't know, at staff level, I don't think anybody's meeting at staff, except for the one that was referenced to. I think it's just a simple thing is, we got a complaint, let's go take care of it. I think down here at this meeting might have been an idea you could have tagged along that they had. But I don't think there's a whole lot of meetings at staff level. Is there, Jill, about this?
We only had that initial meeting because she received the cease and desist order
Right.
and wanted to talk to us about what was happening and what she needed to do to be compliant with the county. So that was the meeting that we held. The meeting that was held at her property with Maryland Department of Agriculture, we were not invited to. She simply informed me that they were having the meeting and she would catch me up after the meeting on some of the things that they were able to talk about.
So if I may, so Tim and Russ, I think one of the unstated concerns you have, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if they go forward with a rural business approach, that there's going to be some sort of bias in the process because they're already a business, they're in place, they've invested in these buildings, they're doing these things, right? And therefore, we're just going to try to make it well by catching up with what they've already done, instead of saying, well, no, you didn't play under the rules. And, it seems to me like the playing field might be tilted as your concern, because they're already doing these things there, and people try to accommodate that.
I think that can be one of the fallacies of zoning implementation. They're already doing that, so this is, let it go. But I don't think that's the way zoning
But
should
that
work.
just encourages further abuses by others down the road.
If you take a step back from it, Terry, rural business districting, its purpose is to provide service to the local agricultural community, right? Repair of farm equipment, feed, all that kind of stuff. That's what it was for.
Right.
That's how it was argued through. Now let's come and explain to me how a band there every Thursday night for 20 or 30 weeks, banging away so that the people back here on Chaplin Street can't sit on their porches and enjoy their porches, is providing a service to the local farmer. I don't get it. It's not what a rural business district is for. So I think the first step is to step back and say, do we have the right language in our zoning ordinance? And then the second thing is, I don't know, Jill independent, of course, but I wouldn't want my zoning administrator saying, well, that person's been doing something wrong for 6 months, so we're just going to kind of work around it. That's not the way it's going to work.
Over to us now.
Anything else? Okay. Commissioners, comments? Lee, you want?
I just appreciate you having us this evening. I live in a small town too, so I appreciate and understand some of the struggles that you have to contend with day in and day out. I had an opportunity to just drive around a little bit here in Sharpsburg this evening, and a lot of Christmas lights are starting to turn on along Main Street. It looks really nice and just where a small town should be. I agree.
I'm glad to be here. I enjoy coming here, and I like the parades and the community, the good friends and the hospitality. It's a good community. I don't have any particular things to highlight right now. Appreciate you inviting us out here, and I enjoyed learning about these two issues, and we'll see what we can do about it.
Lots of great input. I mean, really, Jim, for us, all of you. I'm very familiar with the area. I lived in Taylor's Landing for years and try to get here as much as I can, which is not as often as I should. I'm first to admit to that. But this is what a town meeting should be. You outlined your problems, you told us your problems, your concerns, and don't be surprised if some of them aren't acted on, because we don't know that. As what we don't know. Yeah, what we don't know. So
I know you guys act on things. We appreciate that as well.
yeah. So I mean,
Good race.
it was a lot of good information. I learned something, and that's what I came for. But thank you for the hospitality and thanks to deputy for being here. Everybody raves about y'all's town deputy back here.
Well, if I can, make a comment on Dakota.
Sure.
He's great. The people love him, I tell you. And, the new relationship with Brian Albert,
Yep.
who worked out more hours, I gotta tell you, it's working great.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. So I'm glad that's working out good for y'all. So.
Russ, likewise, it's always good to be in Sharpsburg. Appreciate the open dialogue that you and I have, and cell phone numbers, and call me anytime. And you're always available and ready to chat, and appreciate that. I guess the concern I do have with Green Hill, typically weddings, particularly the larger weddings, don't happen on the spur of the moment. I'm concerned that she's probably out booking weddings way in the future. And
She's booked out all next year.
that's what I suspected. So this is probably needs to be expedited, and monitored, and kept an eye on, because I got reason to believe that there's a lot of big weddings booked, and
It's just not
It's gonna be-
weddings.
it's
I
gonna be
mean,
very-
she has food trucks and bands every Thursday night from spring through fall. So that's way more than 12 events.
I'm very confident in our staff to keep a handle on it. I personally am. We're the first to hear about it usually. I just talking to Jill today about an issue. So, I think we do a pretty good job at it, but it's good. It's on the table. So everybody, it affects your community.
Well, she and Tim have the hardest jobs that I've ever seen in local government. I mean, zoning is really something that's really tough.
It is. It's every day. I mean,
Yeah, it's every day.
every day.
And I'd also like to say special thanks to our county staff. I see so many here today. I'm going to get in trouble if I start mentioning names.
Don't forget a name.
Don't forget a name.
Or say it.
Say the wrong.
Say the wrong name to somebody. I've done that, folks.
You can name them right now, Barry. Let's name those.
Got Macy in the house.
But again, we appreciate it, it takes.
I have to tell you guys, I've been around this a long time, okay? And you can take this as blowing smoke if you want that or whatever. I've never worked with a better kind of group of people than you guys have at the club. They're responsive. Joe calls me right back, which, everybody, it's just been good. So I can't say enough about your staff.
Appreciate that.
And it goes right down to the lowest level. Saturday and Sunday, I had, one of the reasons I didn't read my email, I've been fighting a plumbing problem. I have a 5-year-old grandson who was there all weekend, so you can imagine what the problem was. But I had a plumber come in, but we had to check out the grinder pump. So I called your emergency number on Sunday, and Sunday afternoon, they were there. They came, checked the grinder out, said it's working fine, and all that kind of stuff. So that's, we're getting used to that now. We're getting used to that. So that's enough.
And I'd like to thank the staff. Don't you all beat me up after that. Thank you. So,
Recognize Nutters 2 years in a row on the ice cream trail. Probably staged to win again next year. You got something to be proud of.
Speaking of Nutters, I heard a rumor that there's an open tab at Nutters after this.
There is. Anybody from the county staff and commissioners that just tell them to write up the tab and I'll take care of it.
just put on John Bar's too.
Put it on John Barr- John
Let's
Barr's
not
name.
wait. So, in all seriousness, Nutters after this meeting.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm going to now.
I'd just like to add that I've been in this area my whole life. My children attended Little League here in Sharpsburg. I spent more nights than I can count. The ball field right over here, just watching game after game after game. And it was really neat walking in here and seeing my children's great grandfather memorialized as one of your veterans memorial Packers that you down there. So just glad to be here, and I'd like to thank you for inviting us.
I wish you had an elevator, but I'll could do the steps again.
You can have an elevator. And on your way out of town, by the way, The park project open space, about
Yeah.
$400,000 worth of work has started up here on the farm. Getting going on that.
If I can get through the weeds. If I can get through the weeds.
I'm sorry.
If I can get through the weeds.
Oh, okay.
We will. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for citizens' participation. Anyone here this evening that would like to share? Guess everybody's hungry for ice cream.
Ice cream. Eat the fall.
Okay,
Motion to close.
motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.